Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Tuesday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Tuesday. That means we'll have Buddy Martin. We also, in the second half of this show, we're going to be joined by College Football Hall of Famer Carlos Alvarez, whose documentary kicks off tonight, the American story, The Cuban Comet, on SEC Story, I think around 8:30. But let's kick this thing off and let's go to the Titan MR hotline. We're joined by Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show. You can check him out Monday through Friday on Facebook Live around 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Good morning, Buddy. How are you?
Well, I'm a little chaotic this morning. If you hear an alarm or a ringing going off in the back of me, it's because somehow or another the people that run the alarms and stuff can't seem to get it fixed, okay? So just ignore it if it's like a ringing sound, and I will apologize, okay? I'm doing okay. I went to the doctor this morning to get some blood drawn, and it's one of those days when one of the arms I had to get blood drawn on went dry. She had to change the stick in the other arm, so I was double armed this morning in blood. But I'm okay. I'm ready. I'm excited for some football in the swamp, and let's see what they got.
Before we talk about football in the swamp, Buddy, your Tampa Bay Rays are one game away from not winning the World Series, but they can tie it up tonight. Your thoughts? Blake Snell's on the mound.
Yeah.
It's been a heck of a World Series with some crazy, crazy games.
Well, I posted last week and talked about it on my show, but I've never seen a finish to a World Series or a baseball game like the one in Game 4. It was remarkable. It not just was it exciting, it was so incredible that people who were in it couldn't even tell you what happened. I mean, you say, what happened? And they would say, I don't know. Randy Arozarena said it all when he slid in home after falling down, safe, patted the plate, and had this big old smile on his face. And it was a tremendous baseball game, fun, not very much fun for the Dodgers, but yeah, maybe that was their one moment, but you know what? That one moment was enough for me, because if you weren't a baseball fan and you watched that, you'd have to turn it back on tonight.
Yeah, like I said, it was a crazy ending to Game 4. Game 5 was good as well. Hopefully the Rays, it would be a perfect ending to the baseball season if they can make this game go to Game 7 for all the marbles. So we'll find out tonight.
So 2020, right, Shane, for it to go 7 with the Rays in it?
Yeah, they have to. So Gators went back to practicing yesterday. I know you listened to Coach Mullen's press conference. Any good stuff come out of that?
Well, I'm trying to think about it a little bit and you can't draw too much out of it, but I would be concerned as a Gator fan because 3 reasons. Number one, this Missouri team is kind of nowhere. They're physically tough. They out-toughed Kentucky, who's a pretty physical team. They've gotten some terrific deep. Barry Odom has been just a fantastic guy at Missouri, and now he's gone to Arkansas. But this defense that they're playing now is really good. I'd be a little concerned about it because they're physical, something that I think the Florida defense has to prove that it is, and so far has not. So I'm concerned there. Secondly, I'm very concerned. The team's been off, as you pointed out to me last week. They haven't done anything, basically. But they haven't even strapped it on, gone out in the field, had a cup of coffee, nothing. So they're starting from scratch last night in a workout. I haven't heard how that went. So there's that. The third thing is, I thought about this today. I thought about you. What is the swamp? The swamp is high energy. That's what makes it the swamp, ever since you guys started in 1990, especially. So I don't know how much energy will be in the swamp on Saturday, but I'll tell you this much. When Dan Mullen said pack the swamp, he wasn't just talking about people. That certainly was big, and hopefully it will be a quote-unquote full house. But packing the swamp means getting your motor running, the fans getting excited, the enthusiasm. And what it is, Shane, tell me if I'm wrong, it's an energy level that you reach among fans and players, and that's what makes the swamp the swamp. I don't know if that energy level will be there.
Well, it's a night game, so that should help from the student body section. Getting them hyped up and have the energy. It's only going to be around 17,000. It's just different. Hopefully, our guys having not played him for so long. That you bring up a good point, buddy. I'm not sure if this night game is good for us or if it'd been better to have a noon kickoff because we've been waiting so long to play, and now they're going to have to sit around the hotel for a long time until this game Saturday night. So I'm anxious to see how we perform. Like you said, it's an odd situation being off 16 days, doing absolutely nothing. Are we going to be sluggish? I think I would probably say yes, but hopefully defensively we can come out and play with an edge because I think the defense should be ahead of our offense because we haven't been able to throw, we haven't been able to do anything. Now, that doesn't mean that Trask and the receivers can't stay after practice on their own time and get extra throwing in. When you haven't thrown and run plays for 16 days, it's definitely going to hurt you.
You're just going to have to ignore the ringing sound this morning. My alarm won't turn off. So thanks to the folks at whatever that ADT. So I think that's a real concern. And again, the swamp being the swamp. I also want to see how this works out. I get the sense Dan Mullen's involved with the defense. I don't know how much he'll be involved in the game. I doubt very much. He says he's been spending more time with the defense than the offense. And I think that's a good thing. I do. I think it's something that needs to be done. And this defense has got something to prove. And you tell me, like you say, is it the timing on the offense you worry more about, or is it finding the bodies for that front seven? Because Missouri wants to play smash mouth football.
Well, speaking of the defense, I think Kyrie Campbell's supposed to be back. That's what we're hearing, but who knows? He will help. I don't know if he's going to solve any of the problems, maybe a little bit. But when you look at this defense, you talked about Dan Mullen going and helping or fixing the defense. I think he will be involved. I'm just going by my experience of when I was playing in the collegiate level and our defense didn't play well. The head coach would go sit in on those team meetings, watch the tape, and it was almost like he would call out certain players. Buddy Martin, is this the best you can do? Are you doing your responsibilities, Buddy Martin? Because Dan's not a defensive coach. He can only make some suggestions. You can maybe change personnel, but they're still going to put the best person out there that gives them the best chance of winning. So, if people think you're going to see a new philosophy, that ain't going to happen. But I think we match up pretty decent with Missouri. They're not a high-flying, powerful offense. They can run the football, though, and their freshman quarterback can make all the throws. So it'll be interesting. But I do think, everybody's been waiting for Kyrie Campbell. Let's see if he can make a difference.
Well, I'm hoping that we'll see some action in the swamp because it's all there. I'm thinking today about writing a piece on, is this the season? Is this the season that could have been? Is this the lost season? And I don't know yet till they get on the field what that's going to be.
Well, you got to remember, it's still early. We've only played 3 games. Seems like we've been playing for 5 months. But we've only played 3 games. We have 7 regular season games still on the schedule. Hopefully we play them all. So there's still a lot out there. And, it's the coaching cliche. The next game is the most important one because that game next week will not matter if we don't win this game this week.
That's correct. And you got to keep it's elimination almost at this point in time. And so, listen, Shane, what are you going to watch tonight? We got a lot on TV. I had to change the subject, but I wanted to say you got a lot going on tonight. You mentioned the Rays. I've got to watch my Rays now. And I love this Randy Arozarena. And also, of course, Kevin Kiermaier's my guy, too. Blake Snell might get the job done, but they got a lot of sticks there with the Dodgers, the best team in baseball. I got that. Then at 8:30, it's the Carlos Alvarez All-American Cuban Comet on as well. So it's going to be quite a night. And I got to do a show at 9 o'clock. I'm sure I'll have 5 people watching, if that.
Yeah, your viewers are going to be checking in to the SEC network probably, buddy, or they may tape it and listen to Buddy Martin live. But yeah, we're going to after we're done with you this morning, we're going to talk to Carlos Alvarez about this documentary. We had him on back in the summertime, but wasn't aware of this, and it's coming out tonight. Actually, that's why I wanted to get him on. Buddy, a couple other things. So
on that point, if I may, I'm sorry, alarm is going to be. So is one of the things last night, and that show is still up on Buddy Martin's show Facebook page. If you want to go and listen, and you did, I watched your show back too that you did with Carlos. It was very good. You had him on live. One of the things I found astonishing is number one, he has not watched the show yet.
Right.
Watching it tonight. Number two, the incredible thing is there's a scene in there you'll see. He is on top of a flagpole. I was at that game that night in Miami, his last game, when after the game was over, a bunch of guys said, let's go down there and dive in the flipper pond, where flipper is. And some of them were going to do that. He went down there and there was a flagpole there. He is so strong. He shimmied all the way up to the top of that flagpole and was cheering and raising, just sort of cheering it on. And he said he had forgotten about that. And so when I talked to the producer, and I'm on the show tonight, by the way, just in case you'll hear my voice or whatever, the bottom line is that I mentioned that, and the producer had to go looking for the footage. He unbelievably found it. Carlos said he didn't even remember doing it. And we talked about it last night on the show. So that was a remarkable thing.
Well, real quick, this flagpole, where was this at?
Miami. It's the last game of his career. He and John Reeves in the famous Gator flop game. Where they got the
Miami
ball
at the Orange Bowl?
At the Orange Bowl.
Okay.
And you might ask him about it. That's when John Reeves broke the record for yardage. Your mentor, one of them, John Reeves, they flopped to get the ball back. They beat Miami again. And, of course, Carlos being from North Miami. And as he says, a very Cuban thing, his word, he loves to celebrate. So what did he do? He had gone through a frustrating 2 years. His senior year, they beat Miami. John got the record, and he went down there and shimmied up to the top of that flagpole. And sure enough, there's some grainy footage of him waving out there. And the reason I bring it up was he compared the Arozarena moment of patting the plate like that when he said he loved it so much because of the joy in that picture. And he said it's a very Cuban thing. That's what he said. So, and there's that combination. Anyway, and of course, Carlos was the Cuban Comet. And as you know, he found out that the Cuban Comet in baseball was a guy named Manny Minoso, Manny Minoso of the White Sox, was a great player. And so he tied himself into that Cuban Comet then, Cuban Comet now, and now Rosarina, making the Cuban people very, very proud.
Buddy, why do you think Carlos isn't in the Ring of Honor?
I don't know what the stipulations are. I don't know what the rules.
Well, I know. You got to be a All-American. You have to be inducted into either the National Football Hall of Fame or the College Football Hall of Fame.
Well, he's in that,
which he is. And he holds a tons of records here. Right. And I don't know why he's not in.
Well, let me just speculate. He
and Lomas Brown need to be in.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I get very emotional about this because he took on the University of Florida and Stephen O'Connell at a time for what they did. When they masqueraded this whole thing with Ray Graves, with the masquerade of bringing Doug Dickey in. I have nothing against Coach Dickey and nothing against Coach Graves, but it was handled so badly that the NCAA investigated what happened. And he felt betrayed about it. And he spoke his mind. And we talked about it on the show. I met him in Miami in a restaurant. We talked about it. That's when he broke the story that he said he might transfer. He felt betrayed by the whole situation. Carlos speaks his mind. Not everybody likes that. I can't help but think it's something to do with politics.
Well, hopefully they can get over that and put him in the Ring of Honor here soon. So, buddy, want to get your thoughts on what happened this past weekend in college football. Did you watch any games?
Watched them all. And I'm not an official baiter. I don't get into officials. I have some good friends who are officials. But, man, They have got to do something about that. You cannot, and I'm jumping ahead, but that whole non-call, the replay, the Ole Miss game was just shameful. And I don't even understand how you could even have an excuse for that. And, of course, Lane Kiffin spoke out, and he got fined $25,000 on social media for it. Listen, it was worth the $25,000 for him, I think, because he was frustrated. But, boy, some teams are just – I mean, what is going on? I mean, Kentucky – don't come to me with Kentucky anymore, folks. Okay, I'm tired of it. I tell you, every year, I go, well, they're better this year. They're going to be really good. No, they're not. I mean, they might beat Florida, but they think they're back. They're not back, okay? They're 500 Kentucky team, maybe 600, whatever. So that's it. Now, we know about what is up with Auburn. Have they got a horseshoe up their butt or what? I mean, they are so lucky to be where they are. Arkansas, on the other hand, Ole Miss. So, and of course, looks like LSU is back a little bit. I think Muschamp might be done in South Carolina. So there's a lot going on in all of that this past weekend. I know it's way too early to start making judgments, but yeah, there was some stuff there.
Yeah, Dan says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. Lomas and Carlos, Ring of Honor. I agree 100%.
Absolutely, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, the whole. I don't blame Lane for speaking out. Lane has a little bit of Spurrier in him.
He does.
You know what I'm saying? He's going to stick up for his team. He's going to say what's on his mind. He does some crazy stuff. We all know that. But there's no excuse for that officiating crew to not get that call right.
No.
I mean, that's why you have replay. And it clearly showed the ball touched the kid's hand. And I don't know how they can get it wrong.
I mean, look, we're not talking about missing a call. That happens. Officials are human beings. You know that. And they will admit, the good officials will say, I made a mistake. I missed it. But they didn't just miss it. The whole SEC missed it. That game was on back in Birmingham. What happened to the great buzz they buzzed down and say, hey, let's look at that one. I mean, that may have cost them that game. And it was unfair. It was an atrocious, one of the most atrocious jobs of neglect I've seen by an official, even though it didn't involve a call per se. I think if you're going to use replay, get the damn thing right, okay?
No, I agree 110% on that. Buddy, how's the podcast going with Urban?
Well, it's really going well. I got a great call yesterday from a friend up in Jacksonville, an old Gator, who's told me he was so happy to hear Urban talking last week on the podcast about his decision to go back to football and why he went to Ohio State. And he said, it's the first time I've ever seen that. And now that I hear that, I kind of understand it. So from that point, Shane, this, a lot of things get lost. A lot of things get changed up. A lot of things get misunderstood and dropped or forgotten. Just like with Carlos Alvarez, there's no video around because he was on TV 4 times, none of that saved. In a situation like this, you want to get things right when you can. So, yeah, I'm glad Urban did that. It's going well. Bradshaw's nuts as ever. And this week I'm going to ask Urban about the officials, his take on it, what's wrong, what can they do, etc. Big Ten finally back in business, if anybody cares. Ohio State looks real. So it's going really well. It's going really. Let me just tell folks, if you don't mind, that this podcast is called Best Fridays in Football. Best Fridays in Football. It's Urban Meyer. It's Terry Bradshaw. It's a lot of other people. One day, maybe I'll get your goal coach on. He's got so many shows going on. I don't know. And we talk football every Friday. And I think if you like football, you like the SEC, you like some Big Ten stuff, Ohio State, you like those guys, you'll like it.
So, buddy, let me ask you this. Who gets to the Ring of Honor at Florida first? Carlos, Lomas, or Urban?
Well, that's a great question. That is a great question. Put that on the poll, as they say, right? I mean, that'd be a tough one. I would say probably Urban, but he's got a lot to overcome because a guy who wins 2 national championships at your school, I don't care how you like him or how you feel about him, you can't overlook that. And as great as Carlos Alvarez was, and as great as Lomas Brown was, and make no mistake, they were great. Tougher for Lomas because of the position he plays. it would be a tough choice. But I would say probably Urban Meyer.
Did you ever ask Urban on the podcast yet when he's going to take the Texas job?
I did actually talk to him about that. I mean, the one thing about it is I will ask him those things, and he won't dodge them. And he gave me the standard answer, and the answer was that I don't know if I want to coach again. I haven't decided that yet, and if I do, I don't know. That's a lot, And I see he said, here's the other thing he said, and you know this to be the case. Dan Mullen got stung by it last 2 weeks ago. He said, if I say anything, no matter what it is, social media will tear it apart and make something out of it. And he's right. So he said, I can't really say anything, so I just rather not say. I don't really know, honestly, and I think I know Urban probably as well as any media person out there, not bragging. I don't think he really wants to coach again yet. Will that change? Maybe. Right now, he's loving life. He's got his second restaurant open up. He likes this show. He likes the guys he works with on Big Noon, which, by the way, to my mind, except for the fact it doesn't have a lot of SEC on it, it's the best football show on Saturday mornings right now. Better than what they got at ESPN. But anyway, so he's happy. He's successful. He's building a restaurant. He's got a home in Sarasota. I don't know if Urban wants to go through that again. And not only that, as he said, I have to find out about my health. He has that cyst in his head. Cyst is still there. He could drop over at any minute. So it's a big family thing. And for those who said, well, he's faking it. No, he ain't faking it. He's got a cyst in his head. He loves the game. He admits he's going to miss it. He admits he won't say no, but he says, right now, I just can't think about that. And I believe him.
Hey, Chris Doring Mortgage. They do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Got a few more minutes here with Buddy Martin, and we'll.
Can I ask you one? I'm sorry to interrupt you. I know I'm bad. This is bad this way. This is what happens when you have two hosts and you have one guy come on as a guest and he thinks he's a host. I just want to ask you this question.
All right.
Because these people. John Reeves was a mentor of yours. Mm-hmm. You said on the show, our show, he had a huge influence on me when you were on the scout team, and he cared about you. And truth be known, Coach Spurrier, please don't get mad at me, okay? Is that you sort of brought you to the attention of the other coaches and said, this is the guy. He started you in the spring game, gave you your first big break, right? Yeah,
I was always, when you have 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks, they, it depends on who the coach is, but they would send, usually the first 2 guys go with the receivers, throw routes. You send a couple down to the running backs, they hand off and throw balls, and you send a couple to the tight ends. I was always sent down to the tight ends with John Bob. So that's where we formed our relationship. And, he drafted me the first pick in the orange and blue game on the orange team. And so, he had a lot to do with me. He taught me a lot. I mean, Coach Spurrier taught me the most, obviously, but he's the guy that I got to know the best early on when that coaching staff came in, because I was with him the most.
Make no mistake, Coach Spurrier was the greatest coach, I think, ever at Florida, and I love Urban to death. And and so I would never say anything to say he wasn't. But there's sometimes people don't get the credit they deserve, and I think he saw something in you. And we all need somebody to believe in us, right, Shane? And when you're in a situation trying to make a name for yourself, just give me a look, give me a shot here. And John did that. John had his own demons, as we know. But I love the line. I think it was on your show with Carlos when Carlos put it so great, he said, God gave you the gift to John Reeves.
Yeah.
And it's too bad that people don't know what a great player and can't see him on video. Because I can tell you, and by the way, I'm having Lee McGriff on tomorrow night. He'll tell you about Carlos Alvarez. He saw him play. And if you know this man, he was just such an unbelievable football player. And by the way, if he hadn't got hurt, they'd never catch his records. Because he played 10 games, by the way, and he played half of Carlos Alvarez the last 2 years.
Yep. Well, buddy, good stuff, my man. We're going to take our break, and we're going to get Carlos on the program.
Oh, that's going to be great.
We'll be tuning in to his show tonight. I'll be on your show tonight. So looking forward to it, my man.
I'm going to ask you that question about who goes to the Ring of Honor.
All right, yeah. Turn it around.
Looking forward to seeing Carlos.
That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida. Understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 5 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Center State Bank, member FDIC. Going to take our first time out of the program. We come back, we'll be joined by College Football Hall of Famer, the Cuban Comet, Carlos Alvarez.
Hey Gator Nation, this is your former head ball coach Steve Spurrier. Check out our show, Inside the Huddle with Shane Matthews and Steve Russell, every Tuesday during football season on 8:50 a.m. and 98.1 FM WRUF at 10 o'clock a.m.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Area Rug Masters, your number one choice in Gainesville for all your rug cleaning services.
Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Darlene Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Radware, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to a Tuesday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators come to celebrate, with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike, Medici's, Regal Cinemas, and coming spring of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators come to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan Tomorrow hotline, and we're joined by College Football Hall of Famer, one of the, actually probably the best receiver to ever play at the University of Florida, Carlos Alvarez. Good morning, Carlos. How are you?
I'm doing great, Shane. How about yourself?
Can't complain. We had you on this summer, I believe, kind of told your life story, and then all of a sudden, they're going to have an SEC story about Carlos Alvarez. How'd that all come about?
Well, I was approached about it 2 years ago by Gaspar Gonzalez, who is the director and producer. And he happens to be a University of Florida graduate and knew about me. He, I think, went to University of Florida in the early 80s. And he knew about me. And he had done a number of documentaries and thought that this would be worth doing. And then he talked me into it, because I was a bit hesitant at first for, really for the reason that you go back and you do the memory of everything that happened back then. There are a lot of good spots, mostly good. There's a few bumps in the road kind of thing. And the emotional roller coaster, I didn't know if I wanted to go through it, but it's been a wonderful experience with him. A person that really works hard at his craft and has done a really what I have not seen the documentary. I'm going to see it when everybody else sees it.
Oh, wow.
But I'm very happy with the work he has done. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. How much filming currently did you have to do for the series?
They came to my house, to my farm here in Tallahassee, and filmed for about, 6-7 hours, just interviewing me about all kinds of things. And then we also did an interview at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta. He had some filming to be done up there. So we did that, did some interviews up there. And then we went to Gainesville, and I forget whether we did any interviews in Gainesville. Well, we did actually. We went to Gainesville twice. One is for my the reunion of the '69 team last year, so that he was able to film that reunion. And that was very, very nice. I was on the field. I was there with Willie Jackson and Leonard George and Fred Abbott. And of course, the rest of we were on the field, but the rest of my '69 team was up in the stands, and he was able to go to the celebrations the night before, and then the tailgating afterwards. And then I went there with him just alone to University of Florida to watch archival films, which I didn't know the university had. So that was a lot of fun, as I could guide him. We couldn't find a lot of things because they were not there, but it was a lot of fun going through that.
So, I've heard so many great things about Reeves to Alvarez, and I've never really seen it. I've never seen any clips of it. So am I going to get to see it tonight when they film this? Some John Reeves passes going to Carlos Alvarez?
Oh yes, you're going to see. You're going to see that. Shane, I think this is still the record, but I think John and I hold the records for the most passes from one quarterback to one receiver at Florida. That's how tight in we were. Of all the passes that I caught, all but about, I think, 2 or 3 were from John. Other ones were maybe, halfback passes, things like that.
Right.
But virtually all of them were from John. So anything that I catch is from John. And I think you and I have talked, and how I miss him, but also what an unbelievable quarterback he was, and really what a wonderful person he was too. Those that got to really know him understand that.
No doubt about it. We're speaking with Carlos Alvarez here on the Titan Amar Hotline. You can check out his SEC Storied. It's called the Cuban Comet, right? It's going to be on air tonight on the SEC Network.
Yes, it's the All-American Cuban Comet.
So basically, they started filming and putting
That's the name of it.
Okay. So they started filming this, as you mentioned, it was last football season when y'all had a reunion for the '69 team. So they started about a year and a half ago, starting to put everything together for this film.
Yes. And Shane, I think what I didn't realize, and I think most people don't realize about these documentaries, it's extensive work trying to find out from all these different sources, and of course you're trying to put a history and now when I think about it, it tells me how old I am, but you're trying to put a history that was 50 years ago. As I told somebody, when you think about 50 years ago, when I was playing, and I thought 50 years ago, that was World War I. That was the date, that was like 1920. So now it's kind of the same thing. And of course, now, like when you played, there was, there's a lot of video of that, there's a lot of that. But back then, there was not. So he had to kind of gather that from different sources. And let alone that, just like anything, and you may know this, I didn't know this, anything that appears on a documentary, like all of a sudden they'll see a newspaper article that will appear there for 5 seconds. Now you can get that, you can go through that and get it in the internet and make it easy. However, you have to clear the rights of that newspaper article to be shown. And usually you have to pay for it. So anything that appears in that documentary had to be cleared in that way. And of course, he's got to put together a story that makes sense to the viewer. So it is, that's why I think it takes that long a time to put something like this together.
Yeah, I was a part of a documentary. It's not going. I haven't seen yours, but yours is going to be wonderful, I'm sure. My documentary gives me nightmares. I think it was the first documentary, the 30 for 30 or SEC Story that they ever did. It was on the play that changed college football. It was the first SEC championship game where I threw the pick six for us to lose to Alabama, and they won the national title. So I'm not a big fan of documentaries because of that one, but I'm sure yours is going to be outstanding. So, did they go back to your childhood days where you came across to Miami and all that good stuff? Is that all in there?
Yes, I think it is. Like I said, I have not seen it, but He went all the way back. And really, the story is basically this: is my coming to the United States, my family coming to the United States. I came here when I was 10, a year and a half after Castro came, and my fight, my search to be an American. And I saw football as my gateway to be an American. And then going to University of Florida, and what happened there, which to me was unexpected, which was kind of good. I'll talk about that in just a second, was kind of good. But the struggles to get there, and actually then, what happened at the University of Florida, and then just because of the timing of the whole thing, it was a tumultuous time in America. And there were protests, certainly the Vietnam War, racial injustice, things like that I got involved in. So, and I got involved, I tried to put together an athletes union, which that's also, I think, part of the film. And so all of that is part of the story, but it's really my drive to become an American, and knowing that football was my ticket. And, I didn't realize that until many years later when I actually wrote a draft of a book that actually has the same name. They took the name of my draft of the book for the documentary, but I realized that really that was my drive. It was to become an American. And that's how come really you don't see a lot of Cuban Americans playing football.
Right,
I mean, it's not the sport, but to me, it meant the world. And one of the things that I was telling you I was going to come back to is the fact that when I went to University of Florida, I was a running back in high school. When I went to University of Florida, I thought I wasn't going to make the team. And so what I said to myself is, I may not make this team, but I will never, ever look back and say, if I had done X, I would have made the team. So I worked out. I caught passes from anybody who wanted to throw the ball to me. I did everything, not knowing what the standard was. And it was only when I got to the first practice, and of course I had the gift of John Reeves. And when I got to that first practice where I realized I can compete. But until then, I had no idea whether I could compete or not. And I think that is actually a real benefit, to not know how far you can go in something. Just know that you can put it all out there. You don't never want to have a regret that I didn't do enough.
No doubt about it. It's a tremendous story, no doubt. We're speaking with Carlos Alvarez here on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. His documentary, The SEC Storied on Him, airs tonight on the SEC Network. We're anxious to watch it. Carlos, I want to ask you, you're in the College Football Hall of Fame, that's what every college player would love to be in. But for whatever reason, I think we talked about it this summer, and you need to be in the Ring of Honor. I don't quite understand why you're not. One of the criteria is you have to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Do you think that day will ever come?
Well, the first part of this question is you should be in the College Football Hall of Fame.
Well, I don't know about that.
I really believe I do know about that. I mean, when you look at what you did at Florida, you deserve to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. The Ring of Honor, it's hard for me to comment on that. To me, I think that the way I like to describe it is the University of Florida has been great to me. And whatever choice they make on that, I am fine with it. I think that people that are in the Ring of Honor deserve to be there. I hope people like Percy Harvin, other wide receivers, I believe if Percy wasn't around, we wouldn't have won two of the three national championships. He made everybody better in that team. So to me, there's a lot of choices that the administration needs to make, the coaches need to make, and I'm good with whatever choice they make, because I know there's a lot of players that probably deserve to be in the Ring of Honor.
I don't know how much college football you watch these days, Carlos, but it's amazing all the records that you still hold at the University of Florida with all the great receivers that we've had come through here. And back in your era, you didn't throw the football that much. Now, like I said, I don't know how much college football you watch, but if a kid
back in our day, threw for 230, 250 yards. That was unbelievable. If you threw for 300 yards, you're setting school records. Well, it seems like every college quarterback that suits up on Saturdays throws for over 300 yards now. Would you love to be playing in today's modern college football as a wide receiver?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every time I watch it, I think of how much fun it would be to play. Like the Florida offense is obviously typical, and what Kyle Trask has done, and Kyle Pitts, and I mean it just seems like a lot of fun because they come through a lot of sets. I will tell you that the 69 team, because we had the coaching change and went more to a running type attack after my sophomore year. But that 69 team that had Fred Pankos was the offensive coordinator, really had a lot of sets and a lot of patterns that are not too dissimilar. I'm not saying that it equates to what it is now, because back then we always had a fullback, for example, and now a lot of times you don't have a fullback, and so you have you're spread out more. But I will say that it would be just a blast to play today. With all the different sets and the options, and it would be great fun. It really would be great fun.
Let me ask you this. Like I said, I don't know how much college football you watch, but this past weekend, Ole Miss played at Arkansas, and Matt Corral, the quarterback at Ole Miss, threw 6 interceptions. You were on that team when old John Reeves against, I think it was Auburn, threw 9 interceptions. I think I've asked you this before, but I mean, you guys as teammates, did y'all not have anybody else you could put in the game behind John Bob? I mean, after I threw 5 in one game, and coach never benched me either. So maybe y'all just didn't have anybody else you could put in the game.
So Shane, let me tell you this, and I think you will agree with me. When you throw 9 interceptions, it's probably not all the quarterback's fault. Now, the quarterback's going to have that statistic tied around his neck, but it's probably not all the quarterback's fault. And so when we went to Auburn, we were undefeated, and we expected Auburn to have a totally different defense, which is the defense that Auburn always played, and they changed the defense on us. I mean, from play one, and play one was actually a streak pattern to me. And I, as soon as I set up, I said, this is not the defense. And we didn't check off on that play. But by the time I got to the ball, there were like 2 Auburn defenders right there with me, because they were just in a totally different defense, and they never changed that. And so John had to deal with that throughout the whole game. And, wide receivers were trying to get open in odd ways. All kinds of things were happening. We fell behind. The one thing that I take from that game is we never gave up. And we did so well with the passing game that we lived by it, we died by it. And the other thing I take away from it is our defense. Now, Auburn scored 38 points, but you give up 9 interceptions, and their offense only scores 38 points with a Heisman Trophy quarterback of Pat Sullivan and a receiver that's the best one that I ever saw play when I played, Terry Beasley. Our defense played lights out throughout the whole game. So the team never gave up. And then after the game, nobody looked at John and blamed him or the offense or anything like that. We took the loss and went on. And that's the only game we lost. And so there's a lot of positives to be gained by that, and I know John's been hung with the nine interceptions, but it's a team. That was a team lack of effort, and not lack of effort, but it's just a team thing that happened. And it's not just John to blame.
Yeah, I'll never forget, because, John was on the staff with Coach Spurrier for several years, and he was the guy that I used to hang out with a lot down with the tight ends until I finally became the starter. And I'll never forget that after that Mississippi State game, Coach Reeves came up, put his arm around me, and he goes, "Don't worry, Shane. 5's not so bad. I threw 9 against Auburn." I'll never forget that. But we got a text here on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Larry. Larry says, "I love the John Reeves to Alvarez connection, but Carlos, what is your best moment as a Gator?
That is such a difficult question because, and I'm sure the question was asked to you, you would say a lot of things would start running through your mind because there's a lot of great things that happen, that happened during my career. The one that I know people remember the most, and certainly is ingrained in my heart, is that third play in the Houston game, the first pass I ever caught, the first pass that John ever threw, which went for a 70-yard touchdown against a team that was ranked by some people as the number one team in the nation, the Houston Cougars at Florida Field. So when that happens and you have the fans going absolutely crazy on Florida Field, never expecting that to happen, it is a moment that I will never forget. And then another moment, which is kind of a bookend moment, is my last game at Florida Field when we were playing Kentucky, and we were a little bit ahead. I think we may have been 5-6 points ahead in the fourth quarter, and a play was called in, and I just knew that we went deep, and John knew if I went deep, we would just kill him because we had just been running short routes most of the game. And I looked at John and he looked at me, and the play was called in, and John said, "The hell with it, go deep," and he called the play, and sure enough. And so it was a November day, and I was running down the east sidelines, going to the north end zone, and I will always remember it because the sun was in the background. John's pass was spiraling perfectly right into me and into my hands, running at full speed. And when I got into the end zone, I was so high. I mean, it was about a 50-yard touchdown. I was so high because he hit me just perfectly that I threw the ball into the stands. Now, I mean, I threw it as high as I possibly could into the stands. I had never done that. I had never gotten a penalty in all my years at Florida. That's the only penalty I ever got for celebration. And boy, the defensive coordinator at the time was not happy with me when I got to the sidelines, but I was in such a high that it didn't matter. John and I celebrated that moment. And of course, Lee McGriff remembered that, because he wasn't playing with us at the time, but he was going to play, and he was in the stands. And I don't know if you remember, but Travis McGriff did the same thing. And there was another, I think Caldwell also did the same thing when Urban Meyer was the coach. And actually I was in the field when he did it. And I told him I didn't talk him into it. I didn't even say anything about it. Just some people have known about that, which is your last game at Florida Field. If you're ahead and you're a wide receiver, you could do that, but it's probably something that I shouldn't spread too much because some coach is going to really get very upset about it. But that was a very wonderful moment for me.
That's good stuff. Last thing, Coach Mullen's done a tremendous job here in his first 3 years. Obviously, this year, who knows what's going to happen. It's a crazy year for all of us. Just your quick thoughts on Coach Mullen as the head coach at Florida.
Love him. I just love Coach Mullen. I think he's a coach's coach. He's a player's coach. I'm sorry, and that means a lot to me. I think he really has the respect of his players, and they trust him that even when things go wrong, he'll straighten up the ship. So I like him. I obviously love his offensive schemes. That has been very exciting to watch. So I really like Coach Mullen. This year is such an unusual year, as we all know, that I think everybody just needs to relax. Whatever happens this year happens, but it's almost like a throwaway year. Let's enjoy it. It's totally enjoy it. And I mean throw away and give up on it. It's just that you cannot judge a coach by what happens this year. There's too many variables, including not even knowing who's going to be there on Saturday, because on Thursday, all of a sudden a key player is going to come out. And, I've always said that college football is roughly 1/3 coaching, 1/3 players, and 1/3 luck. And the luck is really the injuries or the 19-year-old having a bad day because not concentrating or not realizing that it's a 12-game season and getting tired after the third game and having their fourth game be a bad game. So I think I would put probably a little bit higher percentage on the coaching than a third and a third and a third, but that everybody's got to look at it that way. And I think that we're at Florida right now, we're on the coaching side, we're at a full percentage of what we can get out of that coach, and we just have to be patient.
No doubt about it. So what time is the show airing tonight? Is it 7:30 or 8, 9?
8:30.
8:30. 8:30. It'll be the Cuban Comet. I can't wait to watch it. Get your popcorn and soda pops ready. Sit down on the couch and check it out. But Carlos, we really do appreciate you taking the time to join us, talking about your life, what we get to see in the documentary. Can't wait.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Shane, and thank you for having me. And go Gators.
Go Gators. All right, that's Carlos Alvarez. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. We're going to take our second time out of the program. We come back. We're going to wrap up this Tuesday edition.
This is Shane Matthews. Thank you for listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. You can also check me out on Inside the Huddle with Steve Russell and the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. Tune in every Tuesday during football season on WRUF 98.1 FM, 8:50 a.m. at 10 o'clock in the morning, or find us on your favorite podcast platform.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Area Rug Masters, your number one choice in Gainesville for all your rug cleaning services.
Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance, Pomodoro Cafe,
Big Mills Cheesesteaks,
MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Aver and Smith Personal Injury Attorneys, Orange Theory Fitness, PRP Regeneration Specialist, and Dowling Signs.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. This Day in Sports is brought to you by Area Rug Masters, Gainesville's most trusted area rug cleaners. With free pickup and delivery, Area Rug Masters is the convenient way to keep the focal point of your room looking brand new. Call Area Rug Masters, 352-448-5999. This Day in Sports in 2015, American soccer star and former Gator Abby Womback announces her retirement. That's brought to you by Area Rug Masters. We did a poll on our Facebook Live today who should be inducted into the Ring of Honor first, whether it was Lomas Brown, Carlos Alvarez, or Urban Meyer. 69% of you folks said Urban Meyer. So there you have it. Don't forget tomorrow. First of all, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook Live, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. Make sure you tell your friends about our program. Tomorrow's show, make sure you don't miss it. Louis Oliver, former Gator Great All-American here, longtime player with the Miami Dolphins, will join the program. Let's see. That is pretty much today's show is going to be a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Make sure you stay safe out there, folks. Tune in tomorrow. We'll see you later.